So who should be responsible for dealing with the problem? Well, we're joined now by Simon Blackburn from the Local Government Association and by Andy Stubbs from Trolleywise. This is a company that retrieves lost and abandoned trolleys. Good morning.
Morning.
Andy, I'm quite surprised there has to actually be a company to retrieve these trolleys. This is a much bigger problem, I suppose, than many people realise.
I think it's different in different areas. We do collect a lot of shopping trolleys. I'd say over 500,000 a year. So there's quite a lot out there.
And sorry, Naga. I mean, they're dumped in sometimes the most extraordinary places. But tell us about some of the more unusual ones.
I've had, you know, the street posts you have where you have like your parking, how long you can park there for. Yeah. I've had one skewered on that.
What? Someone's lifted it up?
It must have been more than one person, and actually pulled it down and taken it straight through the centre of the trolley. I found one. Well, I found about 5 that had been nestled together and sunk on a post similar. And then a council had put a sign on the top. So I couldn't physically get them back off because the sign was in the way. I had to remove the sign and put the sign back on.
Absolutely bizarre. I mean, Simon, these trolleys that were collected obviously are about people having a laugh or thinking it's funny, but there are other people who just simply are using them because they just want to use them for work or convenience. I mean, how do you stop that?
It's difficult, but there are things that supermarkets can do to help us. I mean, we spent, as local authorities, £50 million last year cleaning up fly tipping across England and Wales, and trolleys are a big part of that. So there is a lot supermarkets can do in terms of putting up bollards, better CCTV. My local supermarket has a line painted around the outside, and when you try and push a trolley over that, the trolley automatically locks its brakes so you can't take it any further. So there is quite a bit they can do to help.
Presumably, if people are determined, for whatever reason, I mean, do you think they're originally taken legitimately? I mean, clearly when someone is stacking them up, it's practical jokes or they're messing around. But when they're originally removed from a supermarket, do you think someone is just wheeling them away with stuff in it and then they become a problem because they leave them outside the house and then someone else wheels them off?
I think it's a combination of the two, to be honest. I know an elderly friend of mine regularly used to take the trolley from the supermarket back to her house to take her shopping home, and she used to bring it back. I think the danger is in densely populated areas like Blackpool, where the supermarket is in the middle of the community. People will do that if they then aren't responsible enough to take the supermarket trolley back.
Or the supermarket doesn't stop them.
Absolutely. So it's that shared responsibility thing, really.
What happens if you're found with a trolley that you shouldn't have?
What
are you charged with? Is it theft or is it?
It's not theft.
No.
You've got to permanently deprive somebody of something for theft. So
Right.
It's not classed as theft.
So people would say that they're planning on taking it back.
And the police would just say it's okay.
So do you get involved where people are still in possession of a trolley? Are you ever in those situations where you have to have those?
Yeah, but I'm not there to tell people off. I'm there to do my job, which is to reunite the trolley back to the store. So that's what I do. I don't get there and start arguing with people about taking trolleys away.
And presumably a lot of the ones you find, I mean, they can't go back to the store anyway because they'll be damaged or beyond repair, would they?
Well, the company I work for is owned by Vansel, and another department in Vansel, they do a reviver product. Well, what they do is they take an old trolley to Store Tech, and it gets put back together into a new revived, recycled product.
I mean, the problem is as well, it's not just, it's the environmental problems that it can cause. We saw pictures of trolleys in canals and in rivers and the danger aspects of it as well.
Absolutely. So there's the environmental pollution, but there's also the flooding risk that can cause. You know, if you get drains and rivers and canals and waterways blocked up by, just needs one trolley, can cause a major flooding issue. So yeah, there's all sorts of knock-on problems which occur as well.
Have you seen situations where they've presented really dangerous, danger to hazard to people?
I think the flooding bit can be quite severe. There was one place I can think of, was a really steep embankment down to a stream, and it wasn't a particularly big stream, but it was one of these flood areas that cleared it, and a good few trolleys had got stuck, and then a tree had fell on it, and it had just caused a big dam, and there was about 150 trolleys all damming this waterway, and the water's got to go somewhere.
When you talk to the supermarkets, how much or effort do you think they're putting into this problem? Because this obviously costs them, I'm assuming, trolleys cost, £50?
Yeah. Trolleys, Andy's just told me, cost between £40 and £60 each. So it's a concern to the supermarkets as well. I think the response that we get is patchy. all companies have a policy on this. How that policy is enforced is very much down to individual store managers. But clearly, as local councils, we're looking at this £50 million worth of fly tipping every year, and we're looking at where those products are coming from that are being tipped. And we are now in the process of leaning on all of the people that create or supply the products that we're having to tidy up to see if there isn't a way that we can share the responsibility and the financial burden for that.
Okay, Simon, thank you. Andy, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.